Hey, this is Matt. Once again, what the bets on the videos, the paid request this time for Alban. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, lists, rankings, reviews, re-reviews, what have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And Alban wanted me to react. Well, he wanted me not react. What I'm talking about. He wanted me to give a list of my top 15 movies of 2005. Now, sometimes doing this stuff is a bit tough because when did it technically come out? Because it'll be in one festival for 2 days in 2004. So we'll say it came out 2004, but most of us only knew about it until 2005, where it was released to the public, to the mainstream, to the movie theater chains. So it's like, okay, well, it says 2004 technically, but we looked at it as a 2005 movie. That goes with any year. So if there's one I'm missing, either I apologize because it's hard to remember all of them. So this is the best I could do. I'll go from number 1 to number 15, just to change it up a bit. My favorite of 2005 is Constantine. My favorite of 2005 is Constantine. I don't look forward to a sequel because of the way a lot of sequels are handled nowadays. But I'm not a guy that followed the comic books, so I can't go into it from that angle. But I really like Keanu Reeves in the role. I think it's one of his best performances. I think he really fit that role well. The chain-smoking guy who's just kind of trying to get his way into heaven and doing these works against the devil, works against evil, and it reminds me a bit of Blade. You know, this badass guy that's got a bit of a past, and the evildoers hate him, and he's got all these special weapons that people made for him. In this case, he got the shotgun that's like a cross. I love that shotgun. I love the way that looks, and the way he reloads it, and the scene where he takes out all the villains, and the way that the creatures die are kind of like the vampires in Blade, where they turn to dust and stuff. So that also reminds me of Blade. Yes, there's a lot of CGI, but I actually thought it worked well in the world that they were showcasing in this. And I just love the world it was developing. I love the chair that he uses, and the way this ritual happens to get into the other world. A bit of this backstory that you can see Keanu Reeves' character's point of view. You felt sorry for him when he did that, but sadly, because he did that, there's a price to pay. And it seems like no matter what he does, he's going to go to hell. But yeah, he's still... Well, he's doing it because of a selfish reason, but then the arc of when he finally does something unselfish. I love the bit at the end where God almost gives the middle finger to the devil, where the devil's ready to take him, played by Peter Stormare, but then God kind of, or whoever, basically that, no, you're not taking him, sorry, he's mine, buddy. And this signifies why I enjoy the film. Keanu is being taken to heaven, and the thing he does is the right to the devil. You know, like and that had a lot of potential for a franchise. Now I think it's too late, because it's been almost 20 years. Almost 20 years since. I mean, what? It's been 18 years? A bit long in the tooth for it now. And you look at what happened with Matrix 4 and Bill and Ted 3, I don't really look forward to elongated, Keanu Reeves sequels. But I like the story he was telling. I like the action sequences. You have a young Shia LaBeouf. I like what's her name? Can't believe I can't remember. She was in The Mummy. Why can't I remember her name? But I don't mind that actress. Rachel Weisz. I believe that's her name, Rachel Weisz. Liked her in it. Overall, very fun, underrated movie. Always thought it was underrated. Number 2, The Transporter 2. This is when Jason Statham's again is laid as an action star, starring with the Transporter 1. I really liked the Transporter 1 and saw that in the theater, so this I believe I saw in the theater as well. Loved the trailer. Really got you pumped up. The trailer with the song, the slam. This is the slam. This is the one. And really, while it's not big on story, it's a fun, entertaining escapism movie where Jason Statham's able to showcase his moves, his martial arts, kicking ass, taking names. The plot is there just to move the action along, and a lot of times I'm fine for that. Just a lot of times I do go into an action film just to have a good old time watching a badass lead, who I do think Statham has that leading man quality and charisma, kicking ass and taking names. And I would say that's actually my favorite of all the Transporter films, because that one I thought had the best action. Like the bit where he's using the fire hose and he's beating everyone's ass with the fire hose, and then they made that crappy Transporter 3 movie. But, I mean, I can't go in depth on each of these because it's 15 movies. Even if I go 2 minutes, I mean, there's going to be over 30-minute video, but Transporter 2 is a lot of fun. Number 3, The Protector, Tony Jaa. This is what he did after On Bach. And the sad thing about Tony Jaa is that this guy has so much potential to be the new Jet Li, Jackie Chan, that type of thing. But then after The Protector, I don't know if he just went Looney Tunes, if he went crazy, or something else happened. And he seemed like he just ran off into the jungle to play with his elephants. And they did his own On-Botch sequels, and those were awful. And he did a sequel with The Protector, and that was awful. Where I swear in the sequel with The Protector, I guess it was just called The Protector 2, I swear there was a fight scene where the sound effects sound like lightsabers. Pew, 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 pew. I'm like, why does it sound like lightsabers? And some really bad CG, and now Tony Jaa's just, what American franchise can I be a part of? Fast and Furious, Triple X 3, now Expendables. It's like, oh man. And to be part of the group. And it's not a big franchise, but that one Triple Threat, which was a very disappointing movie. Very disappointing. But then you look back on The Protector, you go, man, this guy's potential, with him doing his own stunts and these crazy stuff, like when he jumps on the glass and flips over with the guy with the ATV, like crashes through the window and it was right behind him. The way Tony Jaa would do his flying elbows and knees, they felt powerful, they felt like they hurt and impact. Yeah, the plot was whatever. It's him trying to save his elephant. Not something I can relate to. It's like, this is a crazy sequel to Larger Than Life. Where's Bill Murray? But the way he's breaking bones, I mean, he's breaking more bones than Steven Seagal. I mean, or I think like he gets the tusk? He's like slicing the tendons or whatever it is, like, just going to town. And like, oh shit. I think that's the movie, or am I thinking of On Bach? It's been a while since I've seen those two films. I'd like to rewatch them again sometime, because it's been forever since I've seen them. But I don't think I have them on Blu-ray, sadly, On Bach or The Protector. But one of them had a scene where Tony Jaa's going up, but it's all done looking like it's one take. Was there's some really good stellar stunt work in that. So The Protector, kind of sad again, because that's the last great Tony Jaa movie, to be honest. Now, I did like him in Skin Trade with Dolph Lundgren. Not everyone did, but I did. I did like that one, so I thought that was a fun movie, especially compared to other stuff. So Skin Trade I did enjoy, but that he was starring the main focus is, that's him and Dolph Lundgren. Him as the focus, that might be the last one, because again, On Bach 2 and 3 I didn't care for, Protector 2 I didn't care for. but that's just me. But The Protector would be number 3. Number 4, a lot of these could be switched up. Like 4 could be 5, and 5 could be 4, or 6 could be 4, or 4 could be. So, as of now, number 4, I put Mindhunters. I always thought that was a very underrated film that did not get a fair shake at the box office. It didn't really get much of a release. Rennie Harlin directs it. I'm a big Rennie Harlin fan, from The Adventures of Ford Fairlane to all sorts of stuff, from not just Ford Fairlane, but Cliffhanger and Elm Street 4 and Prison and Die Hard 2 and Deep Blue Sea. I enjoy a lot of his movies. I even like Skip Trace they did with Jackie Chan. And this one, the cast I thought did fine. Yeah, LL Cool J. I do wish Stallone was in this movie. Although Stallone did another movie that was similar called ICU. But I just meant, like, with Stallone and Rennie Harlin working together with Cliffhanger, I wish their follow-up was not Driven, but this movie. And while I do think LL Cool J did a good job, imagine the same movie, but it was Sylvester Stallone in that part. That would have been fitting. Because Mindhunters and ICU, I enjoy both of those films. I would say, like, ICU, I like the actors more, and the music more, and the setting. I don't know. I like both of those movies pretty equally for different. Like, I think Mindhunters is a better directed film. I think Rennie Harlin is a better director than Jim Gillespie. But that one, in the Mindhunters, I do think the premise is cool. This FBI training ground on this island. So you have these houses and fake mannequins, because again, it's supposed to be the training ground, but there's a serial killer there, pick off the FBI agents one by one. You have traps. It's kind of like Saw, but I think this is much better than the Saw films. Like, that makes me want to rewatch the film again, Mindhunters. That's a pretty good flick. Underrated. No one really talks about Mindhunters, but that's a really good one. Number 5, I put this on there because, fuck it, Doom. I like the 2005 Doom movie. It is not the definitive Doom movie. That still needs to be made. You need to take Hardcore Henry, that aesthetic, and apply it to a Doom movie. Just have a guy, his point of view. He struck his commanding officer because he's been a dick. He's a REMF, a rear echelon motherfucker. You're behind. You're behind. Your ass is grass. You're behind. Don't see. You're behind. Behind that fucking shuttle. Behind that vehicle. Stay in the shuttle. Your behind's not getting off that damn seat. When you get back, you'll be court-martialed, and your ass is grass, and I'm the lawnmower. What the fuck old stereotypes you want to say in terms of dialogue? Hopefully you have better dialogue than what I said. And he's left behind because he struck commanding officer. The other people go in. You hear all this chaos, screaming. Maybe something happens where the thing gets overturned. He gets knocked out. When the lead guy wakes up, boom, he goes in to search for his men and also search away off this rock of Mars. And you do a bit of a build-up, but then monsters come out of the woodwork. And as the movie goes on, there's more and more monsters. He finds more and more weapons, more and more guns, because some men got further and further in. And he's gearing up, and he's going on the journey, and fighting all these monsters and creatures and demons. Tit Kat, like, you could do that. The problem with the Doom 2005 movie is it's too much of a slow burn. People did not want that for Doom. They're like, where's the monsters? Where's the action? But, number one, I'm a sucker for monster movies. Especially action monster movies. Like, action monster movies, I'm a huge sucker for. Like, some are for slasher films or paranormal films. For me, action movie monsters like Aliens and Predator, Predator 2, even to an extent, I Come in Peace, to an extent. He's not a monster, but he's an alien. I'm a sucker for that stuff. And when it works, I think it really works. The set design, the score by Clint Mansell, I think he was with Nine Inch Nails. I love Carl Urban. I think The Rock, it's a different performance from Dwayne Johnson. So it was more refreshing. Him playing a villain. He doesn't feel like he's playing the same character that he's played 10 times now. So you go back to watch Dwayne Johnson, oh wow, that is a different role. It's a different performance. The Monsters by Stan Winston's company look really cool. When the action's there, it's fun. Like the first person shooter sequence, I do think is a lot of fun. Like the third act of the film, if you were to ask me a third act of the film that saved a movie, Doom, I will remember it when you ask me. But if you remind me, yeah, Doom from 2005 is a movie where the finale, the last like 30 minutes, saved the film for me. Just the first, I'm like, it's pretty boring. But again, I like the cast. I think was it Rosamund Pike who plays Carl Urban's sister. Thought she did perfectly fine. I think the music is very fitting. It's not the definitive Doom movie, but it's I thought an entertaining creature feature that needed a lot more action in the first half. But I still like the 2005 Doom film. Number 6, House of Wax. I'm not the most familiar with the original House of Wax, but I do like the remake of House of Wax, and I think that's actually one of the better horror remakes. It's from the same director that would do The Shallows and Nonstop with Liam Neeson, and for the most part, pretty capable director. And House of Wax, I love the way they incorporated this town that there's only a few people left and they're killers. And so they've taken the people and made them victims in as these mannequins. The wax figures, I should say, wax figures. You get some really good gory deaths, including Paris Hilton gets killed in the movie. And man, sorry about that. The cast I thought did a good job. I think he's not one of the leads, but one of the supporting cast is Jared Padalecki, who would be in the Friday the 13th reboot and this TV show Supernatural. He's not one of the leads, but he's a supporting character. I did like the two. I think they were brother and sister. I like the brother and sister aspect, being those are the two that have to work together. It's not just a typical boyfriend girlfriend. And I thought those actors worked well together. I forget their names because I'm bad with names. I love the whole finale where they're in the wax museum and it's burning up, so literally the floor is caving in on them. Such a striking visual for what's ultimately a slasher film. But it's a slasher film that has a good visual dynamic to it. And again, some good gore if you want that as well. Like House of Wax is a really damn good. Like part of me wants to put that ahead of Doom. But in Doom, I really like Carl Urban. I really like the monster action firefight. So again, just depend. If you ask me a different day, those might be switched. Number 7, The Island. It's a Michael Bay film I never minded. Never minded The Island. I know apparently I ripped off another movie. I don't care. I thought this was better. I thought Ewan McGregor did a pretty good job. I think it's Scarlett Johansson, I believe. I could be wrong. Steve Buscemi's in it. I like the idea behind the film. I think the action scenes are pretty damn stellar. I like a lot of Michael Bay films, other than Transformer films felt like they went on forever and never ended. I got bored after a while, but for the most part, I like the over-the-top Michael Bayism. But this one tried to do a little bit more of a serious story. I really remember liking the score. I think the score was very effective, and it's a score that I used in a lot of movies. I think Avatar, when the first movie trailer for the first Avatar came out, I think it used music from The Island, especially what you hear at the end of The Island. I always thought it was in one of Michael Bay's more underrated movies, and that was like one of his biggest bombs. But yeah, I always enjoyed it. That was fun. I almost forget, where number 8. Number 8, Unleashed with Jet Li. I would say that's definitely one of his best American movies. It gives a bit more acting to delve into, where he was trained to be a dog for the longest time. That's why one tells Danny the dog, and Bob Hoskins is the bad guy, and he's been trained since he was a kid to be a fighter and go into these like fights, cage matches, things of that nature, where people could bet on who would win. And like if when he puts the collar on, he's an animal. When he takes it off, no, when he puts the collar on, he's calm. But when you take it off, he becomes an animal, vicious. So I like that there's a bit more of a dramatic backbone to the movie. You know, compared to other Jet Li American films. Although my favorite Jet Li American film is Kiss of the Dragon. That's easily my favorite. My favorite Jet Li film and my favorite American Jet Li film. But Unleashed is definitely up there. The fight scenes are well done. I think Scott Adkins is in one of the fight scenes. Like, it's funny when I'm making this list. It's like, man, a lot of these films I want to rewatch again, like this one and Mindhunters and stuff. Because I haven't seen these in a long time. But I think Scott Adkins is one of the fighters in the movie. Morgan Freeman, which seemed almost random, but you know, it's like Morgan Freeman's in a Jet Li movie. Oh, that'd be like Al Pacino in a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. Although I would love to see that. But, yeah, well done fight scenes. I also remember the marketing in the trailer when this came out. I love the piece of music, and I forget the name of it, but it had this good rhythm of building up the action and really getting you into it. Ba, da, 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 da. So. And yeah, I forget the name of the musical track. I think it's from the band Massive Attack. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. But Unleashed is definitely one of Jet Li's better films. Best films, I would say. Next up, was it? I always forget the... I should have numbered these. Number 9. Yeah, number 9 would be Hostage with Bruce Willis. A film no one ever talks about in Bruce Willis's filmography. But I think Hostage is a rather effective, has an extremely effective opening where Bruce Willis is trying to calm someone down and other people making so things go haywire. A very emotional performance by Bruce Willis as this guy he's trying to save doesn't quite make it, and you feel his anger, his frustration, and he really put his all into this role. So it's many years later, he's kind of a sheriff or whatever you want to call it in a small town, and there's something going on in this kind of rich family's place, and Bruce Willis is caught by the bad guy saying, you need to go. There's two sets of bad guys. There's these 2 or 3 thieves doing a bit of home invasion on this family. But then also there's these other bad guys that give Bruce Willis and goes, we have your family, and you need to go in there and get what we want. Even though those 3 idiots are intruding on that home, you need to go in there and get it, otherwise we'll kill your family. So Bruce Willis has to appease those bad guys, then talk to these other bad guys, then in this conundrum of putting this kid, this boy at risk to get what he needs. Would you risk one family to save your family? That whole conundrum. And I thought Ben Foster is one of the 3. He's more of the crazy person in the house of the intruders, the 3 intruders. I thought the director had some nice style to his work. I thought the cast were very capable, did their job well. It's not wall-to-wall action, but I thought there's some pretty solid stylistic moments. The third act, there's a little bit of clunkiness, but I mean, I didn't think it was as bad as people made it out to be. But I think Hostage is definitely one of the more bit underrated of a Bruce Willis film that no one ever talks about, but I thought it was pretty effective in what it was trying to do. Okay. Then number 10 would be Sin City. I mean, I like the first Sin City. I'm not a fan of the sequel. And Sin City's not a film I rewatch a lot, but I did appreciate at the time its unique black and white look to really make you feel like the comic book. And the cast, you look at, you got Mickey Rourke as part, at the time, part of his comeback. Well, you had this film, you had The Wrestler, and then that kind of just became a fart in church. But Mickey Rourke was really solid. You had Rosario Dawson, I believe, and Clive Owen, and of course Bruce Willis, and they said very unique stylistic choices in terms of how the blood looked and what was in color and what was not in color. Mostly black and white, but once in a while a little bit of blood is in color. Just a very nice visual feast. And then when the sequel came out, either A, it wasn't as special anymore because we already seen that in Sin City 1, or like the stories they picked and the cast members, and just Sin City 2 was just not nearly as effective. It just, they felt like really boring, shitty stories. Like, here's Joseph Gordon-Levitt being a card player, and then he dies. Oh, here's the lady Bruce Willis protected growing up, but it's her point of view. I don't give a shit about her. Because she's not that great of an actress, to be honest. So the stories were just not nearly as effective as the ones in this. Like, people really got into Marv, Mickey Rourke's character and Bruce Willis's character, and just seemed like more of a worthwhile journey. And I said maybe the whole technique just seemed more cooler. But I did still watch the first Sin City, still marvel at it. But then, like, the Spirit tried to do that, and it just maybe it's one of those one-trick pony type of things. It's fine to work one time, but not multiple times. I don't know. But the first Sin City, I still think is a lot of fun. Number 11, people don't groan at this, but the Dukes of Hazzard movie. I've seen bits and pieces of the Dukes of Hazzard TV show. I liked the movie. I thought the movie was funny. I liked Johnny Knoxville and Sean William Scott. It wasn't a wall-to-wall hilarious film, but I liked them working together. I thought the car action sequences were pretty well done. I'm a fan of Johnny Knoxville from the Jackass movies and TV shows, so it was always nice to see him get a bigger role in something like this. I thought he played off Sean William Scott very well in their back and forth. Did not all the humor work, but it was entertaining to see Burt Reynolds as Boss Hogg, and I don't know, really, like Roscoe P. Coltrane, they went in a completely different route. I don't know why. I thought he was the one that stuck out the most and not working. I think it was MC Gainey, who I've seen in Con Air and other stuff. It just, nothing about that with Roscoe P. Coltrane, so I don't know why they went in that direction. He's the one that just stuck out to, but, having bow and arrow with dynamite that's blowing shit up, and cool car chases, and a pretty kicking soundtrack. You got AC/DC on the soundtrack, which I'm always a sucker for. I think it's the song, You Want Blood? You got it. And I think it's a bit where Sean William Scott's like pissed, and he's looking at Johnny Knoxville, and Knoxville's like, look at the road. And Sean William's like, look at the road. And I like those two actors, and I like those two performances. So Dukes of Hazzard, I thought was a fun movie. I'd probably say I watched the PG-13 cut. This is the unrated cut. Didn't really add anything of note to me. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of nudity, to be fair, but I don't know. And they do bring up the fact that, the Confederate flag, and there's people like, yeah, and there's people getting pissed at them. But I actually thought it was a pretty funny scene when that happened. And the Dukes of Hazzard car that the General Lee's used very well in that movie. Like it's treated with a bit of respect in that, which it was. You won't see again. But yeah, the Dukes of Hazzard movie I did enjoy. A lot better than the TV. What was it? The direct-to-video prequel, whatever the hell it was called. Was it Dukes of Hazzard the beginning or something? That was shitty. Number 12, The Descent. Neil Marshall joint. My favorite is Dodge Soldiers they directed, but The Descent, it definitely brought a great sense of atmosphere to this cave system. I thought the actresses did a good job acting wise. The monsters, the way it was lit, and I thought it really took advantage with the claustrophobic nature of the cave system. A lot more than what was the other movie, The Cave, which I think was PG-13, while this was rated R, so you definitely get a bit of the grisly stuff. And it's a lot better than the sequel, because the sequel, it's lit more than this room. Like, there's more light than in this room, even though it's a cave system. And story decisions are just, this girl has amnesia, but then there's just a lame, lazy way to get her back into the cave, and it didn't matter because she dies anyway. And then there's a scene where a monster bends over and takes a dump on our lead characters. Fuck The Descent Part 2. That's a shitty movie. In more ways than one, literally and symbolically. But The Descent's still a pretty good flick. Number 13, yes, I put The Pacifier. It's a kid's film with Vin Diesel, but I thought for a kid's film, it was charming enough that it got smiles and chuckles out of me. I gotta admit, I like Vin Diesel. I think he doesn't pick the best projects. I think he needs to get away from Fast and Furious. I know he tries other stuff and they fail, like The Last Witch Hunter and Bloodshot. So he doesn't pick the best projects, but that would still be more interesting than the countless Fast and Furious movies. I know he wants to do Riddick again. I don't know. I think that horse has left the barn as well. Love from to prove me wrong. You can play these Chronicles of Riddick video games, but the Pacifier I thought was fun. It was cute. The kids were not too annoying. I thought it was a much better version of, because Jackie Chan was supposed to star in this, but then Vin Diesel did, and then Jackie Chan did a film that was pretty much the same damn movie called The Spy Next Door, like literally the same fucking film. But I thought Vin Diesel actually worked better. I liked the bit with the duck, like accidentally biting him. It was nice to see Vin Diesel, kind of like when you saw Arnold goof on himself and Twins and Kindergarten Cop, more so Kindergarten Cop compared to this. So as I see Vin Diesel, have a bit of fun with his persona, and yeah, I thought it was a goofy kids movie, but I thought it was fun. At number 14, I put Brick. As much as I don't like the director Rian Johnson for what he did for The Last Jedi, I still think Brick is a very maybe at the time he's a better writer, or he's better writing stuff that's not Star Wars. But it was a pretty well written teenage film noir detective story. It also helps that Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I thought, did a really good job performance-wise, where there's a dead person, and kind of like he was Philip Marlowe, is but it's in a high school teenage backdrop, him looking into who killed this person, what happened. I thought it was a different way, a nice, unique, different way to do a detective story. And it's a very wordy script, but I think it's a very interesting script. I think George and Gordon-Levitt did a really good job with that. It made it feel refreshing. So, despite feelings on the director, I still think it's easily the director's best movie. I don't mind Looper for what it is, but I definitely think this is his best movie. Knives Out, I wasn't really big on, so I don't give a shit about the sequel. And number 15, I think we're at number 15. Next time I gotta remember to put numbers in front of these. Number 15, just it was hard because I like A History of Violence. I do like that movie. There's others I do like, but I put The Russian Specialist just because Dolph Lundgren. It's a direct-to-video movie, so it's not going to get much of a headway in terms of advertising or notice. But The Russian Specialist, also known as The Mechanic with a K at the end, Dolph Lundgren directs. It's a revenge story. His family's killed. He wants, of course, revenge on it. He gets Ben Cross from Chariots of Fire and The Unholy to help him out. I thought for a Dolph Lundgren direct-to-video film, it doesn't have the big budget, but Dolph Lundgren kicks ass, and he knows how to work that Russian accent since the days of Rocky IV and Red Scorpion. So it's nice to see him kind of come back to that fold. Just that double-barrel shotgun scenes where the guy's in the water, he puts it, blows the guy's head up in the water, and you get those primal, satisfying moments. And I always got to defend Dolph because, yeah, lately he's made a lot of bad films, like almost every action star has, except Scott Adkins. A lot of his recent stuff's been pretty good, but for the most part, the other guys haven't been the greatest. I still think Dolph Lundgren is one of the most underrated action stars we've had. One of the most underrated, so I always defend and stick up for him and his movies and give his movies a bit more time of day than others do, because I think he deserves it. I think he got a raw deal. A lot of his early films are classic. Showdown Low Tokyo, The Punisher, I Come in Peace is my favorite. Red Scorpion, Men of War. And for a direct-to-video film, Russian Special is a pretty damn decent one. Again, you wish it had a bit more of a flourishing budget, so that it was a bigger looking movie in terms of cinematography and such, but overall, pretty satisfying watch. Again, especially for the direct-to-video market. So with that said, that's my my list. Thanks once again, Alban. Still became like 40 minutes long, but we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.